What's up, guys? Welcome to the garden. I'm your host, Taryn Balzana, and I am so glad that you're here. Today, I actually want to talk about a little bit about what my pastor talked about last Sunday. And he just talked about the reality of uncertainty in our lives. And when we know that we heard from God, but we're just still a little confused about the direction that we're supposed to go or what exactly that means. And so I just want to provide some comfort to you. I want to dig into that a little bit. And what he preached about really hit home for me, and I just know that I'm not the only one. And so it was really an encouragement to me, and I just want it to be an encouragement to you. And so what my focus is this month is just whatever the Lord's been laying on my heart, however the Lord's been ministering to me, I'm just going to use that to minister right back to you guys, and not really focusing so much on what I'm talking about or what the theme's going to be, but just what God's doing in my life and what he's taught me recently and what's encouraged me. And so Sunday at church, I was just really encouraged by this message, and it's getting to that point where I'm not really sure if I've talked about this before, maybe to a degree, but if not, I'm sure that there's new listeners since the last time this was mentioned, and I know that I definitely haven't talked about it in this way. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So I want to start out in Genesis 12, chapters 1 through 3. Now the Lord said to Abram, "Go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you. And I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, so that you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and him who dishonors you I will curse. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed." That sounds great. A father of many nations. To have many descendants, to be blessed, to bless those who bless me, to curse those who dishonor me. I mean, what a great inheritance. Go from your country, go from everything you've ever known. Okay, where's he going? To the land that I will show you. Cool. And I know that we've all felt like that before, where it's like, okay, great, this sounds great, God. Where am I going? He's like, just go, and we'll worry about that later. That's like getting in a car and, you pack your bags, but you don't even know what to pack because you don't even know where you're going. You don't even know which way to turn because you don't even know where you're going. And I have a full tank, but am I just driving, or I don't know where to go. And obviously they were on camels and donkeys back then, and foot. But it's just, we've all been there. We've all been like, oh, hey, God, that sounds great. How am I going to get there? And he's like, yeah, you don't really need to know that yet. Okay, great. That's great. I'll go. Where am I going? Yeah, you don't really need to know that yet. And he did this with Abram. And so later in Hebrews 11:8, by faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place that he was to receive as an inheritance. And he went out, not knowing where he was going. By faith, Abraham obeyed. And he went out, not knowing where he was going. He just said, okay, God, you told me to go, so I'm going to go. And by faith, I'm going to trust you. Because if you've called me to it, you will bring me through it. If you've called me to it, if this is the direction that you want me to go, then clearly you have a plan. So I'm going to go. And Abraham did, by faith. And we're all running this race of faith. And some days it's so much easier to have faith than others. It's easier when you know the full picture, when God lays it all out there. Not so easy when God only gives you a part of it. But you see, Abraham went out, not knowing where he was going, very uncertain of what was waiting ahead, knowing that he was getting this great inheritance, but really not knowing what any of it was going to look like. Not knowing everything that he was going to have to endure along the way. But Abraham wasn't the only one. You read the story of Rahab when she hid the spies, being a prostitute. Some people really wrote her off, thinking that she was unqualified to be used for the kingdom. Really uncertain of what was going to come of her hiding these spies, which were a benefit of the kingdom. Really uncertain. But she knew that's what she was supposed to do. Ruth. She stayed with her mother-in-law in this unknown land where she could have gone back to her family after her husband died, but she didn't. She stayed with her mother-in-law in a place where she probably wasn't very welcome. But she worked hard and she was loyal, and she knew that that's what she was supposed to do. I'm sure she was uncertain, having no idea what she was truly saying yes to. Then there is David, the little shepherd boy. Everybody wrote him off, thinking he was disqualified and unprepared. But he knew that he had a calling from the Lord. And God saw him, and God didn't write him off. And when he said yes to God, he said yes to a lot of other things that were going to come, a lot of challenges that were going to come along the way, because he said yes to God. Not knowing that when he said yes to God, what he was really saying yes to. Very uncertain, but being obedient. Mary and Joseph talk about uncertainty. Jesus was born of a virgin, and Mary had to deal with how Joseph was going to handle it. And an angel appeared to Joseph, and Joseph was like, I don't know, dude. I'm a little uncertain about the truth in that. But they both were just obedient, having no idea that in their obedience they were going to have Jesus in a manger in Bethlehem. I'm sure that definitely wasn't in her birth plan. And so I say all that to say that so often God gives us instructions. And we know we're supposed to go. We know we're supposed to do this or that. And to one degree, they're not unclear, but they're a little unclear. To what extent do I go? How far do I go? When do I stop? Do I stop? What am I going to encounter along the way? What do I need to be prepared for? And God's like, yeah, as much as you think all of that's important, it's really not, and I'll tell you when it is. But I just need you to trust me. You know, whenever me and Trent really started talking and dating, I truly had to seek the Lord for our relationship, because we weren't in a position to be able to spend an immense amount of time together. So I didn't really know his personality traits. I didn't know his little quirks. As much as there was a lot I knew about him, there was a lot I didn't know about him. And so in the beginning especially, I really had to seek the Lord and pray so diligently, Lord, if this is the man that you'd have for me, then I just need you to give me peace. I just need you to give me peace and lead me and guide me and direct me every step of the way. And as soon as you tell me to stop, I'll stop. And so I had to seek him so heavily, as much as I 100% think that whether you can or can't see each other every single day, that the Lord should be sought that heavily in every relationship. But I had to. And very early on, I felt God reveal to me that that was my husband. That there wasn't gonna be anybody else after him. I knew that very early on. And we both had gotten that peace from the Lord. But again, we had no idea what that looked like. And so, moving on, Trent had asked for my dad's blessing in July, and they said we needed to spend more time together. And so the plan was for me to move down there in November, but then finances never really fell into play like anticipated. And I didn't. And I've mentioned that I was such a dark place, because I really was, because I didn't understand. I was so, as certain as I was really uncertain. As much as I knew that this was the man that God had for me, I didn't understand why he wasn't blessing the opportunity to be closer to him. I didn't understand why we couldn't get married yet, but we also couldn't spend more time together. And I didn't understand. And it had gotten to the point where, not even just that, but I was a little late on some bills, and I was like, okay, Lord, like, I don't understand what you're doing. I mean, in some ways, yeah, okay, you can start looking at your bills and, okay, I don't need this, I need a car though. God knows that I need to drive, and I know that I'm supposed to marry this man. So I just don't understand what's happening. And in all my uncertainty, I never questioned whether or not I was supposed to marry Trent. I knew that we were supposed to get married. I knew that he was the man that God sent to me. And I had to just trust him. I had to know where so many people, and maybe a former me, would have been like, okay, if God's not blessing it, then this just must not be what he has. Maybe I misunderstood him. But I never doubted that I misunderstood him. Or I never thought that I misunderstood him. I never doubted what I heard from God. I kept trusting, and I kept having faith, and knowing that, okay, if this is what he wants, then he will make a way. And he did. And it's really hard in that moment when you don't see the whole picture, when you don't understand how it's going to all play out, when you have no idea what's going on. Our lives are full of uncertainty. I mean, back in 2021, I felt God tell me that I would be a public speaker, that I would speak to generations, and that one day it would be a provision for me and my family. That was 4 years ago. I have no idea if this podcast is it. I don't really think it is. I don't think it stops here. But I have no idea what the rest of that looks like. I have no idea what the fulfillment of that calling looks like. But I'm going to keep showing up, and I'm going to keep doing my part. And I'm going to keep trying to steward what God's given me and the opportunities he's given me to the best of my ability. And I'm going to keep having faith. And as long as he tells me to go, I'm going to go. There's a song, and I don't remember who it's by, but it's called Send Me. And it's such a good song, and it's such a good reminder that we should have and keep in mind, and our heart posture should always be towards God. Is, Lord, send me. I am ready to go. And it's hard to say that when you don't know what the path looks like when you go. You don't know how rocky or windy it's going to be. You don't know who you're going to encounter along the route. Obedience is hard. We think it's hard as a kid, but it doesn't get easier as you get older. Because then you think you know a little bit better. You think you've been doing this long enough. God, I don't think that's the right way. I've been doing this a little bit, Lord. And we question whether or not he knows what he's talking about. We question whether or not we heard him right. When you're walking through seasons of uncertainty, it's important that you don't focus on what you haven't heard, and you focus on what you have heard. I knew that God didn't want my car to get taken. I knew that God wanted me to marry Trent. And I know that the Lord wants me to be a public speaker. So I'm going to focus, and I've chosen to focus on what I have heard and not on what I haven't. You have to be very careful, because in seasons of uncertainty, it can cause you to be disobedient because you didn't listen in the first place. If God told you to go, then you don't need to be uncertain. Now, if you're going and God didn't tell you to go, then maybe be a little uncertain. But uncertainty can cause you to be disobedient because you didn't listen in the first place. As in, God told you to just go. He didn't tell you to do anything else. He just said go. He didn't say when you were going to marry him, he just said you were going to marry him. He just said that guy was your husband. He didn't say when you were going to have kids. He didn't say how you were going to have kids, but he told you would be a mother. Many of us don't like living in uncertainty because it's uncomfortable. Uncertainty is so uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable when you don't know how ends are going to meet. When you don't know what the path looks like. When you have no control over how this situation is going to play out. It's really uncomfortable. But Hebrews 12:2 says he is the author and finisher of our faith. So as we're all running this race of faith, he was the author. He is the author of the path we're on, the path we take, the way we go, and the finisher of our faith. The result, the end goal. He is the finish line. The reason that uncertainty stays in your life is because you're looking in the wrong place for the right answer. You have to look unto the Lord. You have to trust him. If you put that desire in your heart, then he will fulfill it. But you have to trust him, and you have to have faith. If we get our eyes on the wrong thing, we start running in the wrong direction. Lord, I know you told me to go this way, but the grass looks a lot greener over here. The path's a little straighter over here. And he's like, I know, but that's not the way that I told you to go. Now, I will say, if you are someone who's veered off the tracks a little bit, he already knew that you were going to make the decision, and he factored that in When he planned out our lives, he already factored in our stupidity. Because we're human and we have the freedom of choice. We have free volition. But I've said before, if we've trusted him enough to pray prayers, if we trusted him enough to say, "Dear Lord, I believe you can answer this prayer," then we have to trust him enough for how he sees fit to answer them. Because you can't trust him enough to pray the prayer and then not trust him enough with the answer. That doesn't really add up. So you either trust him with both, or you don't trust him. And if you think your life's uncertain now, it's a whole lot more uncertain when you don't have the Lord. I just want to encourage you in that. Focus on what you have heard, not what you haven't. Focus on the fact that he's a good God and always has our best interest, that he's a good father, that he knows his children well. Know that if you didn't make a good decision, he already factored in our stupidity. And know that you can trust him. There's a long line of people in the Bible who just went and didn't have the full story, but God told them to go and they did. And he blessed it. It never turned back void. There's an extensive history of God keeping his word. He's always kept his word. He always will keep his word. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So I just want to encourage you that if you're in that season of uncertainty, if you don't know where God's taking you, but you just know that he's taking you, you don't know the full picture, but you know that he's revealed some things to you, then I just say to keep praying. Okay, Lord, I know that you revealed this to me, so help me to walk it out in the best way possible. Help me to walk it out in a way that honors and glorifies you. And make sure that you stay partners in it. I love you guys so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day, a great rest of your week. Don't forget that The Garden is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all the things. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye!